How can you avoid an overdrawn director's loan account being assigned by a liquidator? And why could it be important? Key thing is to think about what is at stake where an overdrawn director's loan account is concerned. And this particularly is important if the overdrawn director's loan account is bigger than the level of creditors. If it is bigger than the level of creditors, then it is really, really crucial that you pay attention to this video. If the overdrawn director's loan account is bigger than the level of creditors and the cost of liquidation, then in order for you to reduce the amount that you would have to repay, potentially, you would want to ensure it did not get assigned. Now, there's no absolutely hard and fast rules about this. Everything that can be said about this could be different, but this is something that's come out 2 or 3 times recently in court cases that is very significant. Now, if the overdrawn director's loan account is assigned, the amount that the director has to repay is the amount that it is overdrawn by. In other words, how much the director owes to the company. That is not the same position necessarily if the overdrawn director's loan account is more than the level of creditors and the cost of liquidation. And the reason is this, is if you are in an owner-managed business, if you were to repay the full amount of the overdrawn director's loan account that was more than the level of creditors and costs of liquidation, that money would go in a circle back to you to some extent. In other words, the surplus bit that is more than the level of creditors and costs of liquidation that you paid over to the liquidator, that surplus would come back to you as a shareholder in an owner-managed business situation, particularly if you were a one-man band or a one-woman band, for instance. Now, if that is the case, you want to do a deal potentially with the liquidator as soon as possible and get it sorted. You do not, as a general rule, and I do stress, no absolutely hard and fast rules about this. The circumstances can be different, so treat this with a pinch of salt. There's a full disclaimer, you must take advice, etc. It's not legal advice, don't rely upon it. Just be aware, it's general information to be aware of because it could be relevant to you. Now, sort out the situation with the liquidator potentially, and this could dramatically reduce the amount that you might have to pay over. Separate tax issues into respect of any written off element, but that's not what we're talking about in this video. What we're talking about is potentially do not wait around and whereby the liquidator wonders whether you're ever going to pay or whether you're going to negotiate or whatever. Get on and sort it because it might save you some money. The alternative is if the liquidator assigns it and you haven't done a deal, then the person to who it has been assigned, in other words, who the liquidator has effectively sold the debt to, is perfectly entitled, legally, lawfully, and all the other bits and pieces to effectively pursue you for the full amount of the loan account. And the level of creditors and the amount of liquidation costs potentially is going to be utterly irrelevant. Okay. Now, there will be circumstances where it will be relevant and so on, but this is just general principle for you to be aware of. And it is important that you sort it out. Questions, queries, concerns, give us a shout. We know Insolvency inside out.